r/maliciouscompliance. Screw with me, and I'll make half your team quit. I had been working in a small jewelry store for almost half a year part-time while studying. The store was part of a chain that had 2 stores in my city, both situated very close to one another. We sold bracelets, necklaces, rings, and whatnot for smaller wallets, meaning crappy and cheap jewelry, most of the time also very ugly. The store I had been working for did not have a store manager at the time, but was co-managed partially by the manager of the second store and the oldest coworker of mine who had been working there for 16 years. The general experience working there was fine. I liked my coworkers, my shifts, and the amount of work that had been assigned to me. It was mostly just unpacking merchandise, ringing customers up, helping customers, and doing a bit of cleaning now and then. I knew about the somewhat crazy upper management of the chain, but never really encountered them. The rules were simple. Do your work, be efficient, which meant if they took a surprise visit and see you just standing around, it was likely you'd receive a write-up or worse. And most importantly, sell as much as you can. However, visits from the area manager, who will play a major role in this story later, as she is a true hellspawn, were rare and most of the time unannounced. I'm a tidy person, I did my work correctly, was rarely late, and took shifts from my coworkers whenever there was a problem. As I said, everything was fine until half a year later when my store got a new manager. In the beginning, I really thought that we would all get along. She learned the basics from the other store manager, which made us all think that things would be okay since we really got along with the other store. Oh boy, were we wrong. The first few weeks went without any major disturbance. She mainly just watched us do our job to see our routines. Then, the crazy started showing. The first thing the evil maniac, aka my store manager, did was convene a staff meeting in which she told us to our faces point blank that our attitude towards customers sucked, that we sucked in general, and that our sales were too low, which also sucked. Most of my coworkers were somewhat old, most of them in their 40s to late 50s, sweet ladies, funny and reliable as hell, but in the eyes of evil maniac, EM, this sucked too. She wanted her team to be young. Then she announced that she would from now on start to assume her manager role fully, and that things would be changing drastically in the future. And they did. I have a list of my all-time favorite stunts EM pulled. She started to rearrange all of our stuff daily. Nothing was where it once was, and I had to search for it every damn time. Our customers asking for gift cards? Sure thing, if I knew where they were right then. Because I didn't, EM decided to put them in a different place for the 3rd time in only 1 week. This displays competence right here, ladies and gentlemen, and totally not embarrassing to tell your beloved customers that you couldn't give them a gift card because you simply can't find them. The same applied to the storeroom in which EM regularly rampaged like a tornado got loose, and which I cleaned up again in a desperate attempt to regain order and control. She forbade us to unpack freshly arrived merchandise after 12 p.m. Mind you, the store only opened at 10 a.m., and sometimes 3 packages full of tiny earrings waited for unpacking while being completely alone in the store, helping customers and dealing with the daily crazies. This meant that the packages were piling up in our tiny back room storage room, making it almost impossible to enter the room and fulfill customers' requests to check the back, would you? I tried talking to her about that, but this was not an optimal situation and that we simply needed more time to unpack merchandise, to which EM replied that she would be able to do all of this in only 3 seconds if we wouldn't always talk so much. Lady, I'm alone in the store. What coworkers do you think I'm talking to? Anyway, shy as I was at that point, I tried to adapt. She started harassing my older coworkers. The assistant manager, a very gruff lady of 55 years, but the sweetest person if you just took enough time to get to know her, and who had been working there for 16 years, was constantly criticized by EM. Suddenly, my assistant manager, AM, was not friendly enough to customers. Nobody ever complained. And she was accused of closing the store uncleaned and messy. I helped AM arrange the jewelry the night before. EM just went in the morning messing with the displays, taking photos, and sending them into our WhatsApp group insulting AM, and was accused of being unwilling to work because AM took care of her 4-year-old grandchild Wednesdays. The EM would often post mean messages into our WhatsApp group chat, deleting them after a few seconds or leaving the group like a toddler throwing a tantrum because AM wouldn't want to swap her shift with EM, who didn't feel so well suddenly when there was a day to work between holidays. In my half year of working for the store under her management, we had to create at least 3 new groups because she would leave them in a rage fit. She screwed with our shift plan. Due to the various WhatsApp groups we had, multiple shift plans were in circulation. She would put us in without notifying or asking us. If any of us would ask to be removed again, she would lose it and instruct us to be available 24/7 since that's what we're paid for. Often, coworkers would not show up for work because they just didn't know that they had to work right now. The shifts EM designed were also really dumb, and she wanted to screw us on purpose. One of my older coworkers had to commute almost 1.5 hours to work and once asked EM to sign her up for shifts longer than her commuting time. EM wanted to get rid of the older ladies and put this specific coworker in 2-hour shifts because, and I quote, "she's already older and probably can't be on her feet so long anymore. I'm doing her a favor." She started to stalk us. Once she took a week off and everybody sighed in relief because it meant 1 week without her constant rage fits, false accusations, and general moodiness. Her latest order during this time was that the small trash bin we kept next to the register had to be placed under the register now. EM believed it to be disturbing the customer experience or whatnot. For us, it meant that unpacking merchandise was hella impractical because now we had to reach under the register every time in a 2-centimeter gap between desk and floor, so we decided to put it next to the register for unpacking. She wasn't there and wouldn't watch us, right? Wrong. The phone rang. AM picked up and was confronted with a screaming EM who demanded to know why the frickin' trash bin was not placed under the register as it was supposed to be, and how we dared to unpack merchandise after 12 p.m. This lady had nothing better to do than stalk us and the store in her free time. The last straw for me to lose my patience was her final stunt. It was a Saturday between Good Friday and Easter Sunday. It was always a highly busy day in retail, and I was in for my shift starting at 10 a.m. EM was supposed to show up at 11 a.m., but she decided to cancel her shift that day completely, leaving me alone in the chaos with no change whatsoever, since she didn't care to get me some the days before. Soon I was out of coins and people started to get irritated due to me being unable to give them their change. I frantically called my coworker who was only supposed to arrive at 2 p.m. to please come in earlier so I could run to the bank to get change. Luckily, she was already in town and showed up half an hour later. I was just done with EM at this point. She completely abandoned me, a temp, and wouldn't take my calls begging her to come in to help me out. If the situation had been reversed, hell, I wouldn't have been alive to share these bits with you. At this point, I've had about enough. I really don't know why I put up with it for so long, but I was young and needed the money, pun intended. I hope you're still here though. I know it was a long story, but the highlight has not even been told yet. So I sat down and wrote a letter, formal yet honest. I stated that the shift making sucked and the old shift system before EM's time worked much better and that her behavior was disrupting our work processes. I even explicitly stated that this was not really an attack on her leading qualities, but an honest request to improve teamwork and atmosphere. I showed the letter to my coworkers, asked if this is fine with them, and put my signature plus in the name of the team under it. I put the letter on the door and asked EM the next time I worked together with her if she'd seen the letter and if there was anything she had to say to it. With the sweetest smile, she said that everything was fine, nothing to worry about. A few weeks later, I finally was allowed to take my vacation I had fought for what felt like an eternity. Suddenly, I received a message on my phone which said something along the lines of this. EM, Anemia, there's a staff meeting coming up. I recommend you show up or else. Me, I'm sorry, but I won't be able to come to this meeting since I am currently on vacation and not in the country. EM, it is mandatory. There is no sorry. Be there or else. Me, no, I will not come. I'm not even in the country. What do you want me to do? Besides, I'm on vacation, so I don't have to work. EM, I do not care. All I can say is, be there or there will be consequences. I just didn't bother to reply to this madness at this point and blocked her for the time being. Later this evening, I received another text message from one of my older coworkers saying something like this. OC, older coworker. Hey Anemia, just be glad that you didn't show up. You were declared the Antichrist of the century. The reason we all had to meet was your letter which the area manager, remember the other hellspawn I mentioned in the beginning, ripped to shreds saying you attacked the store manager who felt offended and insulted by your audacity to write this dirt. Me, what? OC, yeah, she's even sent the evidence to the central offices and requested an official complaint against you. Me, okay, whatever. OC, the area manager then wanted to know who took part in this nonsense and said that anybody who wants to quit can do this right now. I have the paperwork right here. Who is this Anemia girl anyway? Is she 5 or what? What does this even mean? She doesn't want to be 6 hours alone in the store? If she needs to pee, she can call security. Just be glad you didn't have to be there. She made AM cry. Me, fine, I'm done with it. OC, me too. Plans were starting to form in my head, plans of revenge. At this point, there were 7 staff members in the store, including me. 4 of them were similarly done with EM's crap. They felt grossed out by the way I had been treated, knowing that I was a good worker and put up with a lot of stuff from EM. We were friends, which led to a fatal decision for the store. We all decided to quit. All of us, my older coworkers, all of them having worked there for more than 10 plus years, and me leaving the store with only EM and 2 newbies. However, we didn't give EM a notice before, but decided to send our notice directly to the central office where also my letter had been sent, all of this while EM was on vacation. My older coworkers all went to their doctors to get sick notes, but I had different plans. I wanted to screw with EM as badly as possible. So I stayed and followed EM's stupid order meticulously. Want me to stop unpacking stuff at 12 p.m.? Fine, I'll just let all of this cheap crap pile up in the back. Want me to come in to work without telling me? I don't know of anything, and whoopsie, my phone is in flight mode. The best part, however, was this. My store offered earlobe piercing. It was never a requirement for anyone, but suddenly it was. I don't wear earrings, and I never felt comfortable piercing somebody's ear in the middle of a busy store, and up to this point, I never had to. Now, EM and the other house pawn, aka area manager, forced me to do it. Standing in front of a customer holding the piercing machine, I decided to let my emotions get the better of me and started having a crying fit, muttering something along the lines of, "I really don't want this, why are you making me? Surely makes a good impression on customers." Then my last month was over. The store was a mess because the newbies didn't know stuff and I didn't feel like helping them anymore. The storage room was almost inaccessible anymore and the sales dropped even more. I left with a kiss on the hand, leaving the EM with no trained staff since they all left out of loyalty to me. The last thing I heard was that the other store in my city had given up helping EM since her entitledness, laziness, and arrogance finally started showing. Without the older ladies and me in the store holding it all together, the appearance crumbled to pieces. The other store manager won't even speak to EM anymore because EM insulted the other store manager, SM, when SM refused to cover EM's shifts. I've heard that there's a debate going on whether the store should remain open or not. Sadly, there was a lot more going on behind the scenes between EM and AM that we didn't know of. That AM is now in psychological treatment but has been a lot better in the past few weeks. Everybody is now in a better place. Thank you for reading all of this. I know it's been long, but it felt so good writing it all. I just couldn't stop myself.